Question, you didn't trade July because you wanted more time.
I'm sorry?
You didn't trade July cotton because you wanted more time. You
Right.
wanted to go to December for the time value. But if you apply the same strategy to July, the profits would probably be about $6,255 as opposed to the potential profit.
Oh, okay, well, let's
December.
look. Let's look. We would, did we get our update then on July? Let's see.
Yeah,
Yeah,
July
had it
was
made a new
101.
number one top though?
Yeah, we did have, well, no, not in the last week we haven't had. The new,
So this is a top.
yeah, the top was put in on 425, the high of 108.20.
Okay, that's 108.20, that little high there. 108.20. All right, and we'll call our 2 point yesterday's close, which was what, like 102?
101.51.
I'm sorry?
101.51.
101.51. Right? 101.51?
Correct.
All right, so let's say we're short. Now, where would our order to go short be? Would it be at 101.51? Yeah, make it 101.49, something below it and odd. So 101.49. And let's say we were short and our 50% level was 88. All right, so let's see what our profit would be. That's 13.49 cents times $500 a cent. Yeah, $6,745. All right, now let's look at the loss side of this. If we entered at 101.49 and we're stopped out, and our stop will say it is 108. What do we say? 108.29. So that's 6.8 cents times 500. So we're risking $3,400. So it's still a 2-to-1 ratio, but on the December contract, what were we risking? 1,200 and something? And here we're risking 3,400 and something. But Tim's rich, so you have to temper everything he says. So that's the difference. But either one, you could trade July if you wanted to do that. I mean, there's still enough time to trade it, but if this turned into a long trade, you might have to roll your contract out before the trade's over, and it would cost you commission. I mean, it's no big deal, but may as well say where you can. All right, now let's do this one more time.
If you have a 1, 2, 3, say in July, you didn't find one in December,
Couldn't trade it.
you wouldn't trade it.
Correct. That's a good point. Like we saw in corn. Some markets, 1 month was making a formation, actually just off its lows. Then the farther out month in corn was making a new high, working a 1, 2, 3 top. So it must be the formation, you're trading the month, the formation. Good point. All right, let's look at did feeder make new lows yesterday or Thursday?
What month would you like, August or July?
Any of it, did they? One of them really dumped, didn't it?
It has not made a new bottom in the August. Hang on, let me check another month.
How about pork bellies?
Yeah, July bellies have made a new bottom. Yeah.
Okay, let's try that. July pork bellies, page 49. This market sounds funny anyway, so we should trade it. Wasn't this the Barbara Streisand movie? Right? What movie was it? Which one? For Pete's sake. Okay. So look at July pork bellies here. Is this a month we'd be trading? You want to go as far out as you can, so kind of take a look. Look at the open interest in February pork bellies. What do you think? See, that's that pork belly club. There's only 200 of those people. They're a fraternity. Look at August. See, August isn't much better. There's only 1,000 in August. All right, so let's look back and let's look at July. July has 5,000 and May has 5,600. But May's first, it would be going long here. May's first notice day is May 8th. So it's too close anyway. So we trade July. All right, now let's get a price of, can you tell us what it did last week, July bellies?
36.02, up 55 on Friday.
All right, so it did, what's the low it's made?
That the low is yesterday at 35.40.
35.40?
That's a
Okay,
brand
so-
new low.
35.40 is the new number one bottom point. 35, and each horizontal line is 20 points. So 35.40. And that was yesterday?
Yes.
Okay, so new number one bottom yesterday. Give me a 50% level on July pork bellies. Now, what are you going to use? Okay, what are you using? Right there, those two. Got it? Does Priscilla figure 50% level? All right. Hey, Priscilla's doing it. That's it. That's for that. Yep, that's what it just did. It changed trend. That's it. You use these two? Okay, you actually could, but what you'd find is that was that. What was this? What did it work out? 44 and a half. So right here, well, there was that gap, and it surpassed it. But then here's what we're really looking at. It just, see, it went up and then changed trends. Was it a new high? No. Guess not, okay. But then it changed trends, so that was its recent move. Well, actually, it's most recent. I mean, this was dramatic. See, it went up, tried to make new highs, and then dropped. So just look at it, and that was obviously a trend change. This will work, but what you're picking here is well, actually, it was what it had to have been before. It would have been this move, actually. See, would you use that and that? Mm-hmm. And half of that was, it actually exceeded that. But now what I'm looking at is it went up and it ran out of gas, and then it dropped. So what's it going to do now if this turns around?
Would we know that this is the bottom, or could we expect it to turn?
We don't know. But right now, we do know that's the lowest price in the last 12 months. So we have to go with that right now. No. That's why we wait for a formation to shape up, because we don't know. No, you could, I'll go back up and show you. There, you can do this all different ways, short-term, long-term, but right now, I want to see that if this bottom that was put in yesterday is going to hold, then where is it going to bounce back? Yeah, good. You using these? Great. Yeah, we're using. Yeah, down. Yeah, you can do that if you want, but right now we're just interested in what's going to happen. By the way, let me ask you this. This will clear up for you. Okay, you have a number 1 top point. It drops down, you have a 2 point. Goes back up and makes a 3 point. What is that distance from the 2 to the 3? It's usually a 50% retracement. Did that clear it up a little bit? This thing works over and over and over and over. Most moves on those charts are simply retracements. That's why you never see commodity go like this. It goes like this. It's always zigzagging. And it's based on 50% retracements. All right, now this is what threw you. Long term, you could look at this chart and say, okay, it was this high back here in May of 54, and it dropped down to this new low at, we'll call it 35, that it made yesterday. So that's 89 divided by 2 is what, we'll call it 45. And you could draw that 50% level on your chart. And you'll see all kind of significant activity around it. In fact, it goes right through a gap, doesn't it, in March? You see that? Goes right through that big gap in prices. All right, now, let's look nearer term though. And we'll take this high when it changed trend from up to down in March. That spike up to almost 50. And then it ran out of steam and it dropped down to what yesterday's low was, 35.40. All right. You can take 50% of that. And when we do that, we get 42. No, 45 on it. Wait a minute. 42. Okay, so what that says is, if yesterday's low holds and July pork bellies market turns around, the first point it's going to head for is likely 42. All right, now we're going to talk about options. Okay, how many don't know what options are? You're not familiar with it. Okay. The best way to explain it is to compare it to real estate. There's a certain area of your town, and for some reason, you feel that the prices are going to go up in real estate in this area. Houses in there right now, it's a residential neighborhood, houses are $100,000. That's their current market value. For some reason, you think it's going to go commercial, let's say. That the city fathers are going to rezone it, make it a new industrial area or new office area. They'll rezone it, and that will bring the property values up. All right. So, what's the obvious thing you could do if you want to capitalize on that? Just go buy those houses. Well, easier said than done, right? Got to put up the down payment, got to qualify for the loan, pay all the escrow and title and appraisal and all those fees. Then you own the house, then you have to rent it out, and you have to make payments on the loan, and the whole deal. All right, what else could you do? you couldn't or didn't want to do that, what else could you do? You could go to the owner and say, I would like to purchase an option on your property. And he says, what does that mean? And you said, well, it means that I want a 1-year right. We're just saying this is a 1-year contract where I can purchase your home for $150,000. And he says, okay, keep talking, that's sounding pretty good. And you say, well, how much would you want how much would you want me to give you for this option? And he says, well, $1,000. All right, now we have our scenario all set up for an option. We have 3 parts to an option. We have a strike price, we have an expiration date, which is actually a term, right? A length of time. And we have a premium. All right, well, in this example, here's this $100,000 house. That's what its market value is today. But you think that prices will be going up within the year. So you're willing to guarantee that if you buy this house, you don't have to, but if you do, you'll pay him $150,000. So he likes that idea. So that's our strike price. $150,000. The agreed upon price. All right? What's our expiration date or term? 1 year. And what's the premium? $1,000. He wants $1,000. Is he gambling in this situation? No, he's gambling his house. Because sure enough, you were right. Houses went to $200,000 in that neighborhood. Now, are you happy or not? Yeah, you're happy. How about the homeowner? He's not happy. He just promised his house to me for $150,000. It's worth $200,000 now. He's actually pretty distraught. All right. Now, what are your options at this point? What can you do? Okay, well, take the other. What's the obvious thing? You exercise the option. You go to him and you say, here's our contract. I'm buying your house for $150,000. Now, did you make a profit if you do that? Yes. You bought it for $150,000. It's worth $200,000. You made $50,000. But there's something you can do that's even easier, because then you have to buy it from him and he's got to move out and the loan and all of that. What else could you do? Sell it to someone else. I can sell that contract that I have to someone else. I don't have to buy the house and take delivery of it. I can sell this contract to someone else. So what is it worth? Like, it's called its intrinsic value. What is this option? What's its intrinsic value? $50,000. What does that mean? It means that if I took delivery of the house, if I exercised the option and purchased the house, automatically I have a $50,000 profit. Because I bought it for $150,000 and it's now worth $200,000. So the very minimum is $50,000 profit there. That's intrinsic value. But what else do I have going for me now that I wouldn't have if I purchased the house? Well, what about my options? So what does it have? Well, but what else is in here? I've got intrinsic value of $50,000. It still has time value. So I can still control this house without taking control of it because this contract still has time value. So it all depends on how much time. If I had 9 months to go, obviously that's worth more than if there's only 3 weeks till expiration. So not only would I have $50,000 in intrinsic value in this option, but there would be some additional dollar value for the time value that it has. Now it's a long involved formula. We actually, course members write and ask, and so in Boston, what people ask is, well, how much more is it worth than the $50,000 based on the time remaining? Well, there are 2 people on planet Earth, and one passed away. That was Einstein. The other is this broker, one of the recommended brokers. I'm not going to tell you because I don't want you calling him, Mary, but he understands this formula. And before we did the Boston seminar, he brought me a math book that had the formula in it. And I'm telling you, it was 14 pages of formula. Tom, you would have loved it. You would have been in hog heaven. It was unbelievable little squigglies, and it was unbelievable. And I actually showed this on the overhead projector in Boston. 14 pages of this formula. It went on and on and on. And then, and I'm telling you the truth, the last line after the end of the equation, it says, of course, all of this is predicated on a guess. I'm telling you, that's what it said. So I don't know what that option would be, what the time value is worth. The market will decide. All right. Now, the same thing is true in commodities. There's a big round pit in Chicago where they trade corn futures. Then there's a big round pit where they trade options on corn futures. It's a separate market from the futures. It's based on the futures, but it's a totally separate market. Prices of options fluctuate all the time, just like futures prices fluctuate. So, what's the obvious advantage to options? Someone said safety. That is the obvious advantage. You have the right, but not the obligation, to control a futures contract. All right. So if I'm long corn in the futures market, what is my risk? What am I risking? Yeah, theoretically, it's unlimited. For example, let's take pork bellies. What is my risk here? What are we trading pork bellies? Like, what are these numbers on the right side? If pork bellies are $35.40. What? $35.40 what? $3,540? What? 35.4 cents. So it's cents per pound. All right. So what am I risking here in pork bellies? Well, theoretically, pork bellies could go to zero. I don't think it would happen, but theoretically, pork bellies could go to zero. So that would be a drop of 35.4 cents times, what's a cent worth in pork bellies? Times $400. So I'm risking $14,160 if pork belly prices went to zero. So this idea of, unlimited risk and all that baloney, it's not. I mean, it's not pleasant, but it is limited to $14,160 per contract. All right, so what's the appeal then of an option on July pork bellies? The appeal is all I'm risking is the premium I pay for the option. That is the absolute most I could lose. Let's go back to the house example. I buy the house. I exercise the option. I buy the house for $150,000. That's just like being long a futures contract. Somehow the deal fell apart with the city. They discover it's a toxic waste site, and the value of the house goes to zero. No one will live there. You can't pay them to live there. So in that sense, there's a tremendous amount of risk. But if I hold this option on the house, they discover it's a toxic waste site. The house plummets to zero. They can't get anyone to move in there. How much did I lose with my option? $1,000, that's all. They can't come get me because the house is on a waste site. I don't own it. I just have an option on it. So that's the appeal to options, is the safety, the limited risk, and some peace of mind there, if you like that. All right. Now, there's two types of options, basically. I'm either getting an option on a futures contract to go long, or I'm getting an option on a futures contract to short. All right? There are two kinds, basically. A call option is to go long. A put option is to go short. Okay, men, I have a little way that I remember that. A call is up, long. Put is down, short. So just remember back to high school. When you called that real cute gal, you called her up, she put you down. Huh? Does that work for you? Is that the way that works? They took all the girls aside in high school and taught them how to put guys down, I guess. And that's it. Call options, put options. In both these cases, we are buying a call option. We are buying a put option. The terminology is the hardest part of options. And there's many, many things you can do with them. You can get wild. There's lots of strategies you can use. You can also sell options. But if you sell an option, you are like the insurance company. The insurance company gets rich selling insurance policies, right? They get rich. They're huge. They're the biggest things in the world. But they are liable for claims when claims happen. That's what happens if you sell a call option or if you sell a put option. You are liable. You are the bank. We're not talking about selling options here. We're talking about buying options. Buy a call or buy a put. Now, when you get rid of an option, if you have a put or a call, get used to using the term liquidated. I don't want you to say, I want to sell my call. It means a whole different thing. Okay? You get it? You'll get it. It'll clear up for you, but don't use the word sell, or I should say, use the word sell with options very, very carefully. It means a whole different thing. You're buying calls and you're buying puts. And when you get rid of them out of your account, you're liquidating them. Okay? All right. Now, you buy a call in July pork bellies. Now, these three factors apply. We need a strike price, an expiration date, and a premium. How much does it cost? All right. Now, you've heard me do this on the alert line, and I call it fishing with options. That's what I'm going to show you first. I call it fishing with options. Okay, what am I really doing? It just happened yesterday in July pork bellies. It made a new number one bottom point. Actually, it started doing it last week, but it kept making new lows. So I'm going to say that I think July pork bellies are bottoming out here. There'll be a number one bottom point, and I don't want to wait for the 1, 2, 3 formation to shape up, because too many times I've seen a market just take off without me, too far, too fast. like we saw earlier in bean meal, or what was it? You remember that? Remember that 1, 2, 3 top, and it really wasn't a top, it just dropped? Well, this is where fishing pays off. So what we're saying is, we think this market, it is making a new number one bottom, it's going to be turning around, and we're going to go fishing in this pond right now. Now, the first thing to ask is, if I get a July pork belly option, how long is it good for? June 23rd. See it there? Option expiration, June 23rd. And I'll tell you this about options, as a rule of thumb, the last month of an option's life, it's called decay. It goes down in value the quickest. If you saw a chart of it, it goes like that, the last month. So anytime you see an option expiration, in a practical sense, you want to give yourself a month. In other words, subtract a month from this, so that would be May 23rd. So that would give us, what, about 2 weeks of it, actually. So that's not long enough. So we have to go to a farther out contract. All right, well, let's go to August. Why didn't I go to February? Well, the open interest is so low, it's only 200 contracts. I'd rather be in August. And brokers, is August trading all right?
The trade's thin, Ken, but if you're gonna go in with an option, we can probably get one for you.
The point is, if you get an option, you got it. The exchange guarantees you got a contract with the exchange. That's really all you need. But you do want a rather fluid market. So how long would an August pork belly option be good for? Okay, it expires July 21st, so back up a month, so you got till about June 21st, so you have what, maybe 5 or 6 weeks, which isn't bad. All right, now, what would we be looking to do in the August pork belly market with an option? First of all, let's get a price update.
Ken, the August bellies, 34.05.
Woo. Okay, so it dropped down, it's almost off the chart there. 34.05. That's a new one, bottom. Okay. All right, give me a 50% level, short term, on August pork bellies. Yeah, about 40. Everyone get that, about 40? And look where that runs. Draw that line. I actually got about 40 and a half. Tom rubbed off on me there. All right, so what that says is if pork belly prices for August turned around from this 34.05 point, first point it's going to likely head for is 40 or 40 and a half. All right, this now, the 50% level, is what we can use to start looking at options. All right, now there's 3 terms connected with an option. There's at the money. Are there 3? What is it? At the money, in the money, and now, what happened? I drew a blank there. I must need water. The synapses are not yet free. In the money, out of the money, at the money. All right, now, brokers, how do option prices, strikes run?
In the pork bellies, they run 38, 40, 42 and
Okay,
44.
so they run, and this is something you just have to ask the broker or look it up, because the exchanges, you just have to ask what's available. Well, the exchanges sell options on pork bellies in 2-cent increments, just the way it is. 40, 42, 44, 38, 36, whatever. All right. So tell me, what would an at-the-money strike price be in August pork bellies? What would it be? It would, thank you. It would actually be 34. It's at the money. It's where the futures market is right now. At the money. Let's just say, let's fudge and say that low is 34, okay? Not 34.05. So there is a 34 option. That option would be at the money. All right? What would a 36 option be? A call, 36 call option. Out of the money. Because futures price has to rise to meet it. What would a 32 August pork belly call option be called? In the money. Here's why. What would it mean if I had a 32 August pork belly call? What does that mean? It means I could be long from 32. It means if I exercise that option, what happens? I'm exercising it for a futures contract on August pork bellies long from 32. So if futures are now at 34, is that good or bad? That's good. I'm now 2 cents in the money, right? My call option gets me long from 32, but futures prices are at 34. So I have an intrinsic value of 2 cents already. It has an intrinsic value like that house. And it also has what? Time value. So what's its intrinsic value in dollars? How do you figure? Right, my strike is 32, the futures are at 34. How much is 1 cent in pork bellies? $400. So I'm 2 cents in the money, 2 times 400 is $800. So that call option has an intrinsic value of $800, plus whatever the time value is worth. So it would be worth something over $800. Now, let's say we would want what kind of an option if we were going to go fishing and want to get our feet wet in August pork bellies. We want a call option. We think the market's going up. All right. So we start at strike prices. Let's do this and give me an at the money. So give me a 34 August pork belly call.
That would be 290 points.
Okay, wait. Now he's going to quote it to you in points. 290 points. All right. Now you tell me, class, in dollars. What does that mean? $290 points. Did you get $1,160? You take your points, 290 points, look in the legend on the earlier contracts of pork bellies. It tells you 1 point in pork bellies is $4. So you multiply $4 times 290 points, $1,160. And you would be long August pork bellies from 34. which is where it closed yesterday. Now, what's margin on pork bellies? Right, $878. Actually, just looking at that, this looks like a pretty good deal already, doesn't it? I put up $878 in margin. It's just a deposit, but for $1160, I own this option. But let's keep going. So 34, a strike price of 34, which is at the money, is $1,160. That's a strike of 34. All right. Now let's go. What would another spot would be to look for a strike price? The 50% level. That's what I used on the alert lines. So the 50% level was at 40 and a half. Well, will there be an option with a strike of 40 and a half? No, they don't sell those. So we'd have to look at 40.
40 are going for 120 points.
120 points. So how much is that in dollars? So that's $480. Yeah, generally, what's going to happen, the farther away I get, the farther out of the money I get to a call option. What will happen to its premium? It get cheaper because I'm buying this strike price, 30 to 40. Futures are at 34. They have to go all the way up to hit this to be at the money, and then it starts making money if it goes past that. All right, so let's look like halfway in between. So we have a 34 and a 40. So let's try we'd have to go like a 36 or a 38. So say 36.
36s are 220 points. And if you want to look at the 38s, they're at 160 points.
Okay. All right, you get the idea here? That's how you go fishing. You don't need any margin. You purchase that option, any of these options, that's it. You pay the commission, you own the option, you don't need any margin. The worst that can happen to you is that option will expire worthless. And it'll be worth nothing. All right? Now, let's look September copper. Okay, this is going to be a little tricky, but you can do it. Where did September copper close?
Okay, Ken, September copper, 121.60.
121.60. All right, give me a 50% level on September copper. No, always the range. So the top of that mark. You're trying to figure out the high in March? Yes, use the top of those lines.
I'm sorry, are we using to figure this out, the low that is written, that is not in the chart, or the low that is in the chart?
Well, what do we always look for in our charts? We go back 12 months, right?
We go back 12 months, so the
Right.
low that is here.
And this didn't go back 12, so you have to use what's in the legend. Yeah, see, this was a trick question. But you didn't get it. Don't cheat. You can't talk to your neighbor like that. He was actually asking him for the answer. Pope. Mary, come get Pope over here. He's cheating. Bring that big long ruler of yours. Pope, Mary's going to move you if you keep cheating. What'd you get? That's not what I got. Ooh, I didn't, oh yeah, right. 110? 110? I took 90, which was, I looked in the legend, a low of 90.50. So I just take 90 or 91, add it to the high at 130 in March. That's 220, divide by 2, and you get 110. Now, draw that line all the way across the chart and see what you see. A lot of support at the 50% level in September and October. You see that? You're supposed to go, whoa, ooh, that's good. All right, now, let's just say you saw copper here. Do you see a 1, 2, 3 formation, or what do you see? Actually, it happened. Look, you've got a 1, 2, 3 over a 3-week period. So it's kind of too late. Okay, now I want to do this section on options just because I want you to be aware of the value, the potential of options. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to flip through this chart real quickly just to give you an idea. Now, what are we, brokers, we're going to be using the July contract?
Yeah, July for the most, and then what we're looking at doing is the last bottom, like in corn, the last number 1 bottom.
Okay, so here's what we're looking at, for example. Turn to July corn, page 4. Now here's what I want to show you. This is what people miss. And it's easy to miss because we've just been looking at options prices and they're pretty, I think they're expensive. I want to show you though the potential in this. So we're going to have to back up on these charts, but I had them get some special data going back. For example, July corn, look back when it bottomed in December. That's when we would have started looking to fish in corn with options. All right, then, so the brokers have gone back and dug up some of these option prices. Just, I want you to be aware of what you would have run into last December because you'll be running into it in the future sometime when markets are bottoming. Now, the key to all of this is, look at corn prices for July in September, October, November, December. Is that high volatility or low volatility? That's low volatility. Volatility simply means people's attention. The best example I can give you is a couple of years ago, silver was down at the bottom, snaking its way along, hadn't done anything, no one was watching it. All the experts were saying, forget silver, it's going nowhere for years. And I was buying call options for $50 a piece. And it was about, 6 or 8 weeks later, they went on to be worth, because here's what happened. Silver was snaking along, no one was watching, volatility was low. That's why I could get these call options for $50 each. Then 1 week, silver shot up 50 cents, and it came back down to the same level as it before it shot up. And on the other side of that peak, they were worth $3,250. And the only difference was, when that blipped up 50 cents, everyone's attention turned to silver, and the public's usually wrong, and they're usually late, and they started looking. So they were paying $3,250 for options. I think I had 40 of these at $50 a piece. So I want you to know that this is not rare. It happens a lot. But you have to know what it looks like on a chart, and that's why we're going to go back. In this case, on July corn, in October, November, and December, when volatility was low and no one was watching corn. All right, so Steve, tell me what you got there.
Okay, basically on November 25th, the market was approximately 234 to
Okay.
235 level. And that was where the July corn was trading at that time.
Which call now?
And we're looking at the 260 calls were going for about 3 cents at that time.
260 call option was 3 cents?
Right.
Okay, so class, how much is that in dollars? $150. And following, you would have heard it on the alert line, we're fishing in corn. And we use, now how do the strike prices go in corn?
I'm giving you every 10 cents. So 250, 260, 240, 230.
Okay, so corn was at 234 in the July futures. And we could have gone with okay, what if I bought a 230 call?
The 230 call on that day was going for 12 cents.
Okay, why was that, class? It's already 4 cents in the money. The call was at 230, the futures were at 234. It's 4 cents in the money, so there was $200 right there of intrinsic value. But it cost how much?
The 230 call was 12 cents.
So it was $600. So $400 of that premium was what? No, intrinsic was 2 cents. The rest was time value. See, there's the example of what we were looking at before the break. Okay, so what was a 240 call?
The 240 call on that day was going for 8 cents.
8 cents or $400. So the 240 looked like a good deal.
Right.
All right, then what happened with that?
And then the rally ensuing that went into April 3rd, that option ran up to, the 240 call went to 20 cents.
20 cents or $1,000. So what, about 8 times your money there? That was the 260 call.
I'm sorry, that was the 240 call. The 260 call went to 9 cents.
Okay, wait a minute.
So 3 times.
The 260 call,
Went to 9,
9 cents.
and the 240 call went to 20 cents.
Okay. All right, now what, Mark, you want to do oats?
Yeah, we can do oats.
July oats. We're using July because back in, we're probably going to look at this in what, November and December?
Right. The low
There was
actually,
still a lot of time in this July contract.
and the oats that made the low was on 222.
Oh, okay, you see that right there, that low? In February?
222, Ken, it was at 128 back on the 22nd of February.
Okay, so that futures price was 128.
The 130 call was going for 5 1/4.
Okay, 130 call was 5 1/4 cents. So how much, class, is that? Get 260, 250. All right?
And the 140 call was going for approximately 3 cents.
So how much is that, class? $150, okay? And then what happened?
Then the rally coming into the beginning of May, the 130 call went to 16 3/4 cents.
Wait a minute. 16 and how much?
And 3/4.
Okay. How much is that, class? $837.50.
And Ken, we also, since the charts have been printed, we have a new high.
I can't hear you.
Since the charts have been printed last week, we did put in a new high at 146.5.
Oh, okay. Okay. And so what was the 140
The
call?
140 call went up to 10 3/4 cents into that new high that DL just mentioned.
Okay, so 10 3/4 times 50 is $537.50. Okay. All right, what's next?
We can look at soybeans.
Okay, July,
The low, yeah, in the July contract, the low made on February 1st, and I believe the price was $5.59.5.
okay, that's our number 1 point that we drew earlier.
The July 625 calls were going for approximately 4.25 cents.
Okay, now, let's, I want to tell you about bean call, soybean call options or put options. The strike prices go in 25-cent increments. That's a hassle in the soybean market, but that's all they offer, because 25 cents is a big, well, how much is that in dollars? It's $1,250. $50 a cent in beans times 25-cent strike prices. So it's $1,250 between prices. So it's kind of a hassle, but that's what they sell. That's all we can work with. All right, so knowing that, our bottom point was at about 560. And which one now, Steve?
We were looking at the soybean July 625 call that was going for approximately 4.25 cents on that day.
Okay, 625 call was 4.25 cents. So class, how much is that in dollars? $212.50. $212.50.
And the 650 call on that day was going for 3.25.
3.25. So that's $187.50. All right, then where did they go?
On 411, the market rallied to approximately 604, and the 625 calls rallied to approximately 14 cents.
Okay, so that's $700. Okay. 14 cents times $50, 700. All right, now where'd the 650 call
And the
go?
650s went to about 10 cents.
Or how much? How much, class? $500. Okay, so you're getting an idea. I just want you to see bottoms are easier to trade because they get to these low volatility points. When a market's making new highs, especially like cotton now, all-time highs, nothing's calm about that market. When it's up at these all-time highs, prices are usually swinging. It's when these markets get way down low and just snake along, that's when you're picking up the bargains. That's what J. Paul Getty and Morgan and Rockefeller and John Templeton, all of them said, buy low, sell high. Buy when the market looks terrible. That's what we're talking about.